In this episode of Moviewallas, we talk about Last Breath, Mickey 17, and On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. It's time for Moviewallas. Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, it's Rashmi.
And Yazdi as well.
Moviewallas is your weekly film reviews, movie news, and general banter in theatres, on DVD, online streaming, or in the back of an airplane. If you love the movies, this show is for you.
I was almost Yazdi.
You forgot your own name.
I almost forgot my own name.
You got mixed up with your own name.
I did.
It's surprising how that can happen.
Yeah.
It was surprising to me anyway.
Yeah.
That's funny. And sometimes we mix up the order, which trips everyone up. So
not as often, but
not very often.
It's because I was thinking of something else and trying to get myself organized.
See, you cannot multitask.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Joe believes I can't multitask, but I absolutely can.
There is no such thing. The human brain can only process one thing at a time. You can switch very quickly between things.
Maybe that's what I do.
That's not multitasking. So when you pretend you're listening to me, you're really not.
That's a pond. I'm not going to put my feet in.
I was going to say.
I'm staying away from this one.
I'm always like...
I know I can't.
How can you be typing a message to your friend and listening to what I'm saying? You can't. That's not your last breath,
Here we are.
Yes. Should we talk about the Oscars, which concluded a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, we promised we would.
Should we wait for our next episode?
Let's just have a really quick 5-minute discussion.
So what did you think? I mean...
I thought it was a good show. I really enjoyed the show with Conan O'Brien. It was a very entertaining show. I think the big shockers were that Honora won Best Movie and
everything,
Mickey Madison won over Demi Moore. And I don't begrudge her for it. I just wish that that Demi Moore had won, because I felt like this was her year.
I don't know if people, because both The Substance and Honora are not exactly feel-good, like lovely, life-affirming kind of movies. They're both kind of pretty out there, I think, in one way or the other. So the thing which really surprised me was that, Sean Baker, who we all love, he's made The Florida Project, and he's made
Tangerine,
and he's done Red Rocket. He walked away with 4 Oscars for that one movie. He got one for editing. He got one for
Best Movie,
Best for Writing, Best Director, and Producer. Even Martin Scorsese hasn't won like 4 like that. So it just seemed excessive.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge him, but I wonder if the voters just, if they like a movie, they just like it, and then they voted for everything. And then are you lazy? Did you not watch the other movies? Or is there really such a big groundswell of love for this movie, which I find hard to believe?
I mean, we've talked about Honora a couple of times now, more than a couple of times, and I feel like I did walk out of there with this feeling of watching a really great movie. Was it the best movie of 2024? It didn't even appear on our Muggies lists.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it would have appeared on mine had it been more organized, but I mean, not high up.
It's Letterboxd's fault.
That's right. Yeah, I was gonna rub that one in.
Notice I didn't blame Letterboxd on that.
Yeah, this episode.
But I mean, it was a top 10 movie for me, but not like a top 5. And it was surprising that it got as much accolade, because the movie has some problems.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to re-review Honora, but as a piece of filmmaking, it is extraordinarily funny, and it feels quite original. But compared to
but it's kind of striptease meets Pretty Woman in some ways, in my mind.
It's a more adult Cinderella story.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I liked it for its comic chops and for how it was this, this breakneck, relentless caper.
Yeah.
But I do resent Mikey Madison, because she's young and she'll have many other chances. This is only her first major film, I think. So it seems like for the best actor, everybody expects the winner to have put in their dues and been working hard for years, if not decades. But for best actress, people seem very okay with handing it over to, somebody's first film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Demi Moore, I mean, I don't... People love The Substance. I have my issues with it, but she was very good in it. And
she was very good in it.
She has a lifetime of not being recognized for her contribution. So I just feel like it's a lost opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I was really happy to see movies like Flow in
Yes.
which is adorable. We've mentioned that before. I think many of the ones that we had discussed. I think Honora was just the runaway darling of the night, and I was just
timed it beautifully. I
surprised.
mean, Challengers was much more accomplished
Agree.
Yeah.
than Honora.
Yeah. But all in all, I'm glad the season's over again. It feels like we can't really take a breath until the Oscars have played. And, you know, here we are nearly middle of March. What is it today?
Yeah, we're
just the
recording
middle
on
of
the 16th,
March.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing I would mention is that does Adrian Brody need 2 Best Actor Oscars? I mean, he got one for The Pianist and then one again for... Now, mind you, I'm one of the biggest defenders of Brutalist. But again, I'm comparing him with somebody like Ray Fiennes, who's been doing amazing work, and he doesn't have a single Oscar.
I wish Ray Fiennes had got it.
He doesn't have a single Oscar, so it's like... Again, are people not watching all the movies?
No,
the voters?
and you and I know that, Yazdi. I mean, again, we've talked about this many, many times, but the problem that any movie review body has is that all of them, all the Oscar-nominated movies come at the end of the year, and you have to have certain time stamps done, and it's impossible to watch the volume of movies that there are.
I think it's in large part a lot to do with timing. Brutalist marketing was very
late.
well timed. No, the Brutalist.
Oh,
I think
I think it was a little late, but okay.
And Conclave was like earlier.
Yeah.
I mean,
the reason I'm turning a little bit on Adrian Brody also is because his speech was insufferable.
Yeah, it was.
It really was the longest speech in the history, and he had nothing of. If he had like 5 amazing, incisive things to say, it was just him congratulating himself, and I just got kind of annoyed with him. Anyway, all in all, I agree. It was a very entertaining show.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think enough said about the Oscars now. Let's put that to bed.
We move on. It is 2025.
Adieu. We bid adieu to 2024.
That was so last year.
So last year.
Okay.
Beyond us now.
So even though we're doing 3 movies today, I think we all agreed there was time to do a Netflix pick. So this is our segment of I Can't Find Anything to Watch on Video on Demand. This is where we help you find a movie.
And Yazdi and I are in competition because we both think we've got really good picks, but we don't know what each other's picks are. So,
should I go first?
Go first, Yazdi.
So my recommendation is a 4-part limited edition series which just dropped on Netflix. Is that the same as yours?
No.
Okay. It's a British show which is oddly produced by Brad Pitt.
Oh.
But he's one of 4 or 5 producers. It's called Adolescence. Oh,
I just got a message from an avid listener saying, if you haven't watched Adolescence yet, watch it. But take tomorrow off and binge watch it.
Yes. So I've watched 3 out of the...
Jill.
Yeah. Jill?
No.
Okay.
Don't be giving names of our friends away.
Okay. It's... So... people should watch it. It's not pleasant in that it's a very serious topic, but I am just amazed. I haven't seen anything like it. The level of accomplishment for each 1-hour episode is like 10 times higher than anything else playing in cinemas right now. And it's because each episode plays in real time. So it's 1 hour and it plays 1 hour during that story.
24.
Yes, exactly, like 24. But even more so, this is why I think it's so accomplished. For the life of me, I don't know how they've done it. It's done in a single shot, the whole 1 hour. And it's
going to annoy the pants off Joe's.
And it's not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick because it does an immersion. It's like, if this was happening to you, how would you react? And the first episode is about, I'm just to kind of reel people in. I'm not giving anything away. The movie starts with this policeman in England who breaks into a house to arrest a 13-year-old boy who has been accused of murdering a school kid.
Oh.
And it goes from there, and it's asking all these questions about, is education failing us, and why do children kill, and truth and parents and responsibility, and the acting is just outstanding. So anyway, definitely watch it. Adolescence. The second episode is set entirely in a school, and for the life of me, I don't know how they managed to work through the logistics of it, because they're going through schools and classrooms, and the camera goes up and down, and it's one single shot the whole time.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I literally just got that message before we started recording.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Yazdi, I think
Yes.
I haven't seen
Yes.
Adolescence, but I was on the back of an aeroplane last week and I found this gem of a movie called Chronicles of a Wandering Saint.
Never
And
heard of
it is an
yeah.
Argentinian movie about a pious yet competitive woman who decides that staging a miracle could be her ticket to sainthood. And that's all I'm going to say. It's such a wonderful little gem of a movie. It actually took my breath away. It's very efficient. It's only an hour and 25 minutes, and it is available to rent on Prime Video for $5.99. It's so good.
Is it funny?
It's so funny, and it's almost fringing a little bit on Yorgos Lanthimos territory.
Okay.
But it's just this delightful movie about this little town in Argentina and this woman who is obsessed with kind of wanting fame.
Okay.
And the lengths that she'll go to.
Sounds like my cup of tea.
It is so your cup of tea. But Joe, I think you would like it too, because it's not crazy and weird, but it's very funny, and it, again, like I said, it infringes a little bit on that kind of Yorgos Lanthimos sensibility, which I know you don't love,
Well,
but
it depends. If it's overly abstract and metaphorical, then
it's not.
No,
No.
annoying. If it's more like Poor Things,
Yeah.
Or what was the one he did before that?
The Favorite.
The Favorite.
Yes.
I can cope with that.
Yeah. This one's very good. So Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, available for $5.99 on Prime Video, and I think it's available on like Fandango at home and other such buying services.
Super. My pick is something that I just came up with because the stuff that was in our queue I probably have recommended 500 times already before. So, and it's really just an opportunity to talk about a movie we saw during critics season and award season. Is the movie I'm Still Here. So this is available on streaming. It's a rental, so you might have to pony up, $6 to $10, like, depending on which service you use. But we never really talked about it on the show. It was not. I think Fernanda Torres picked up
Best
She was
female.
nominated for Best Lead Actress.
Yeah.
Yep, and this is, again, it's very much it's a small movie that really worked well for me. Admittedly, I hadn't done all my homework last year, and I think maybe the two of you thought there were better movies out here, but this one's really kind of stayed with me. It's a political movie. It's set in Brazil in, I think, the 70s, and it's effectively about a woman whose family is shattered during the military dictatorship in Brazil in 1971. It's a very compact little movie with a very strong sense of place and wonderful use of music, and the story is just compelling, and the performances all around are just amazing. Not just the main actress, but her daughter, and all of the supporting cast. And and honestly, it was so tense at times that I was kind of struggling with what was going to happen. It's one of those movies when you kind of remember that this happened. This is an account of something,
And
that
it feels
actually
so
happened.
relevant to today as well. I mean, it really does.
It was a very powerful little film.
I love this movie, and I think everybody should seek it out because it was nominated not just for Best Foreign Film, it was also nominated for Best Film, period. I just think no other movie last year came close to this one in terms of its verisimilitude. Yeah. I felt like I was living in the 70s in their home at that time. There is this kind of busyness. The camera is always swirling, and many people are talking at once, and they're running to the beach, and they're having their dinner. And
people coming and going.
It never felt like actors wearing costumes. Yeah. They felt lived in. It felt like this was their life. And, it feels tense because nothing really happens in the first 45 minutes, and you keep waiting for the shoe to drop. And when it drops, it's amazing, but not amazing, but it's very effective. But even before that immersion you have is so well done. I just love it.
It actually, it's interesting you mentioned that. When I watched it, I felt like this is how home used to be for us, with people coming and going and families in and out and people living and eating together. And socializing. I was taken back to my own childhood in London in the 70s. That feeling of, people coming and going and having interesting discussions and all age groups together mingling.
Yeah, beautifully done movie.
Great choice.
Okay, so Rashmi, your pick was?
Chronicles of a Wandering Saint.
And Yazdi, you had?
Adolescence on Netflix.
Okay, and I had I'm Still Here on Prime Video and other streaming rental services. Okay, it's time to do us a podcast.
Yes.
We have 3 movies to review: Last Breath, Mickey 17, and On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. So let's tackle them one by one, starting with Last Breath.
So I will introduce that one. First-time director Alex Parkinson, who has done a lot of television work, but this is his first feature film. He directs a movie which is based on a true story. And it's this true story that follows seasoned deep-sea divers as they battle the raging elements to rescue their crewmate, actually, just the one person, trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean surface. It's written by Mitchell LaFortune, Alex Parkinson, and David Brooks, and it stars Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, Finn Cole, Mark Bonner, and many others. I have a thing for these kind of disaster movies. I kind of,
As does Joe.
there's so much inherent drama in them, and so I know this movie is in the theaters right now. I couldn't get a chance to watch it. I know the both of you did. Should we save a breath to watch The Last Breath? Ooh.
I like this movie. I think, to me, it felt like one of those space exploration movies, but it's all underwater. And it does create this claustrophobia really well. It's well acted. The production is good. It's entertaining. I guess the hard thing I found, so it's based on a true story, believe it or not. And the thing I found strange is that it's really an hour in time. Like, it's actually about a very specific hour. And once that's up, that's the whole story. So it's not really like an in-depth story with an arc as such. It's basically about an event that happens and how these 3 people overcome, this team of people essentially, but essentially 3 people overcome this event. So there's not much to it, but I have to say it was quite entertaining.
Yeah, this is a by the numbers type movie, which feels like it's almost at times documentary like in its tone. It's trying to explain a world that very few of us understand, which is the world of these deep sea divers and the perils that they face to do things like keeping our basic infrastructure going. Right, we have a lot of things that we take for granted, such as
Pipes in the ocean.
Gas pipelines, and these people do an incredibly dangerous job. I'm not sure what they're compensated, but I had no idea about their world until kind of watching this movie. And I say it's kind of by the numbers. It feels like, Rashmi, you nailed it. I mean, there is a very... So ostensibly what happens here is that there is a diving accident caused by weather that leads to somebody being stranded under the ocean. What plays out in a very short period of time is the things that they did to try and help him. And the movie has to kind of dwell on that a little bit, and so it does this very by the numbers, setting up of his home life with his fiance. So this is his normal life, and off he goes, and his fiance is concerned about his job and the danger that it has, and then it introduces these kind of very cliche characters, right? Woody Harrelson is the old wise guy that's been doing it 1,000 times,
and this happens to be his last dive.
Yeah, and he's sort of unorthodox in his but very effective. And then we have
so experienced.
Yeah, and then we have the other character played by
Simu
Liu, who is like the expert diver, but not very friendly. So it's got all these kind of cliche type characters. I make it sound like the movie is absolutely horrible, and it's not. It's absolutely worth your time. I had a lot of fun. The tension works really well. The beats are very effective, but there were no surprises here. And so I think critically, it's been well received. I think it's running at 79% on the Tomatometer. Audiences like it too, and I count myself among them.
Yeah, and I did like the lead guy, Finn Cole, who plays the guy who kind of gets left behind. Really good actor. I don't recognize him from anything else, but apparently he's been in Here Are the Young Men, Dreamland. He's been in F9.
Wasn't he on one of those Ryan Murphy shows on television? Anyway, I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's effective. I mean, there's not much to say on this one other than it's entertaining, and if you like this type of genre, then see it. It's very efficient.
It's also informative, and
yeah,
I think, it's informative in the, I don't want the documentary thing to put anyone off watching this, but it has to take us through a journey of explaining how and what these people do and why there's danger.
Yeah.
Right? Because I had no idea that this type of diving was so dangerous.
And the complexity involved in even doing, preparing for the dive, and then...
these people have to go into compression chambers for multiple days in order to acclimate to the pressures, and then they can go out into the ocean for very limited periods of time, and then they have to come back up and decompress. And even when they come back up, the decompression is a very strict schedule of time in order for their blood not to literally boil and kill them. So, there's a lot of danger with what kind of happens if something happens while they're under the ocean. It's not quickly, let's get them to a hospital. It's like they're stuck until their blood, they've acclimated back to normal atmospheric pressure. So it has to do all of that, and it feels mechanical in that way. But it's also it's enlightening.
Yeah. Okay, score, Joe.
I'm going to give it an 8. It was adequate entertainment, and I
8?
Yeah, no, I liked. I gotta say, I know I feel like I've pummeled on it a little bit because
8?
I don't want people to come along and kind of say, oh well, that was kind of a boring by the numbers movie, because it's not. It's very effective, and I really did like it.
For me, it's a 7. Yeah, I was going to give it a 6, but you're right. What it does very effectively. It's very nicely acted. It's great production. It's tight. It keeps your attention all the way. And I just love the way it created this claustrophobia. And I love that it felt like a space movie to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It really didn't feel like an underwater movie. It felt like we're in space, but it's underwater.
No, I mean, you may as well be on the surface of the moon.
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
Stuck in
That
kind of
foreign, it
situation.
creates that foreignness. So this is definitely a job. This is not a job on my list that I ever want to do.
Yeah, I like the idea of this kind of work, but it's terrifying. Okay, let's pivot then to movie number 2, which is Mickey 17.
So Bong Joon-ho is back again. So Bong Joon-ho of, movies like Snowpiercer and Parasite and Okja and Mother.
And The Host.
Many. And he is back in this, in the directing role. And this movie is called Mickey 17. And I'm going to give you the IMDb log line, which I always love because it's so short and tight. Mickey 17, known as an expendable, goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. And this stars Stephen Yeun, Michael Monroe, but main title is Robert Pattinson, and much has been made about his performance, I believe, Yazdi. So you're the only one of us that saw this. Is this worth us rushing out to see?
Yes.
Okay, that was a big pause.
No. Because I was going to add that there are 2 other key cast members. They're supporting actors. So Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette are in the movie as well. I wanted to mention that. So this is a $118 million sci-fi epic that Bong Joon-ho has made. Like, obviously, he got a lot of goodwill out of Parasite, which broke all records. I think it was the first foreign language film to win the Best Film Oscar. And so I think there was a lot on his shoulders, and a very ungenerous take on the movie would be that it's simply a mashup of Okja and Snowpiercer. But it is so much more than that. I think there are a lot of people who have issues with this movie because they expected Parasite Part 2. Right? So they wanted something lean and dark and nasty and twisting on itself, and with surprises and plot elements where, you are suddenly like, oh my God, this is happening. But Parasite was one movie that he did. If you watch his entire filmography, he has a lot of diversity in terms of the kinds of things he does. So what this movie instead is, it's like a goofy, silly, lumbering satire. And I absolutely adored it. I mean, I think this is what defines a true visionary, right? You watch this movie, there is not a minute in this movie which is on planet Earth. Well, maybe I'm not. Maybe there's 5 minutes or 10 minutes set on planet Earth of the future. But every other minute of this movie is set on this spaceship. It's set on this other icy planet. And just the world building is worth the price of admission, right? Just to see I'm a geek about this, the inside of the spaceship, how there is a class structure. The movie is so funny. The movie has a lot to say about, Bong Joon-ho will never make a movie which is not about class, right? So about how the powerful are always exploiting the less powerful. All of his movies have that. And there is that year as well, but there is a humor year. So the basic tenet of the movie is that Robert Pattinson is a man who really wants to leave planet Earth at any cost because of, complicated reasons. So he signs up for the space mission and he doesn't read the fine print and he signs up to be an expendable. And an expendable is a person they send out for a highly, highly risky, endeavor of any kind where there's a more than 50% chance you're going to die. And the good thing is they store your memories, and even if you die, they are able to recreate your body. They call it reprint your body, re-inject your memories, and then you have Mickey 2. And then you have Mickey 3, and he is Mickey number 17. He's the 17th iteration. And one of the funniest things in the movie is seeing how all the Mickeys died, right? And by the time he's on his...
Very, very high concept.
That's very high concept. And by the time you are at Mickey 15 or 16, nobody even bothers to keep him alive. They're like, this rope that I've come to kind of save you is too short. That's okay, you can die and, we'll recreate you. Okay. So there's a very biting kind of satire of how people make the less amongst us, more expendable. I want to say that Robert Pattinson could have been, after the Twilight movies, he could have been like the next big gooey pop star, but I love his choices.
He's making very brave choices.
He is amazing here. He is so good. The second half of the movie plays out with Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 being together, and that's not allowed. So one of them has to kill the other, but they decide they're just going to not let anybody else know that there's two of them. And the two Robert Pattinsons are in the frame continuously for the half the movie. And I know this is not the first time we see twins on the screen, but technology has come so far. They're interacting with each other. They're hugging each other, and you see both of their faces. Wow. I don't know how they've done it all. But the thing is, Robert Pattinson has to create another version of himself that looks exactly like him. It's not like one of them has longer hair, the other one has shorter hair. They look exactly alike, but just by virtue of their personalities, right? Mickey 17 is kind of a quiet, he's not questioning authority. He's just kind of reconciled to his fate. And Mickey 17 is like, the hell with this, we need to fight back. So there is such a great opportunity for him to kind of shine. My only complaint about the movie is about the Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette characters. They play like these super rich, very, very rich, very powerful people who are kind of running the spaceship. And it's very similar to the Tilda Swinton character in Snowpiercer. They represent the high class. And it's so overdone. It's kind of like the Dennis Quaid character in The Substance.
Right.
It's so overdone. Like Mark Ruffalo doesn't even hide the fact that he's imitating Donald Trump, right? I mean, his teeth are coming out and he talks like Trump. So I think some of that is a little too much. It's a little too heavy-handed. But outside of that, it's just brilliant. I mean, we should support these kinds of movies where big studios are putting together this giant space epic on the screen, and if people don't show up or if it loses money, then they won't make these movies anymore.
Right.
So I love this film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So score?
8.5 out of 10, which I'm going to back down to an 8. I actually want to watch it one more time before it leaves the theaters because
We should
it's
go,
so much
Joe.
fun.
We need to go to
because
this
it's
one.
just so much fun. Yeah, and it's kind of shaggy. It's got a shaggy energy. It's kind of very tongue in cheek, but
I like the concept.
Yeah.
And I do like his movies.
yeah, like every time he's reprinted,
Yeah.
his body kind of behaves like a piece of paper on a printer. I mean, there's little things in the movie which are so
And it looks like
well
he's
thought of.
physically changed himself. Like, has he lost weight or something to do this movie? Or
Mickey 17 has an accent that I'm like, that can't be it. Like it doesn't sound like a human being, let alone like Robert Pattinson. So he's working hard. They're doing all kinds of weird things. It's a lot of fun. And it also, the movie, sorry, I'll say this last thing. The movie also says we should not fear the unknown.
Oh, okay.
Right? There's this creature out on this icy planet that, they just because it's unknown, they should it's the enemy, right? We've seen this in Arrival. We've seen this in a lot of movies. And Bong Joon-ho again is saying, go out to the unknown with open arms. Don't go out to the unknown with hatred. And so anyway, I like the messaging of the movie.
Okay.
It sounds like one of those high concept sci-fi movies that we used to get back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like Total Recall and
But and those are tricky to do right.
those are very tricky to do right.
That sounds really good. All right. Moving on then, movie number 3 of the week is On Becoming a Guinea Fowl. So
this was a movie I was really, really wanting to watch. I'll watch anything that A24 produces or distributes, and this is from A24. And again, even after the screening, I tried to catch it in the cinemas, but I haven't been able to. I intend to watch it anyways, but you guys can tell me if I should rush or not. It's a movie by Rangano Nyoni, who I believe is a South African director. I believe this is one of her first movies, and it's written and directed by her. And the one-liner is that on an empty road in the middle of the night, Shula stumbles across the body of her uncle. As funeral proceedings begin around them, she and her cousins bring to light the buried secrets of their middle-class Zambian family. It stars Susan Chardy, Elizabeth Chisela, and Roy Chisha. I believe these are all local Zambian or South African actors. I've heard great things about this movie. I can't wait to see it.
It's running at 100% on the tomatometer.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, which I'm surprised to see because I find this movie to be quite difficult. And it's difficult because it's abstract and metaphorical, and I mean, clearly there's a new voice at work here, right? Like, this is somebody who has taken a very unconventional approach to deal with a topic that is very difficult, and it's ostensibly about the patriarchy and misogyny and abuse of children within the society that the female characters live. I hope it's not spoilery, but the guinea fowl is referenced primarily because guinea fowl do something that they're kind of useful to have in the African plains, where lions and other animals and deer and all sorts of animals will stay near guinea fowl because they have a property where collectively if they see danger, they will warn everyone. And what the movie is ostensibly getting at is there's a tolerance within the society of very dark, misogynist male behaviors. The uncle that kind of passed away is celebrated somehow, and yet as a movie kind of unpacks itself, you kind of learn that this was perhaps not someone to be celebrated. Things that he had done. So, and I don't think that's spoilery in any way. But it's very difficult material because it's put together in a way that is very abstract. I think I didn't really understand the story it was trying to tell for a good half an hour into the movie, because it was these like odd, they felt like dream sequences in some ways, and it's very abstract that somebody would find their uncle on the side of the road and be so normal about that. So yeah, it's difficult, but I came out with an admiration for it. I can't say that I loved it, but I really did understand the way that they were trying to tell this story with some humor, and it's dark, but there is definitely like a bizarro humor that runs through it.
It's a weirdness, I think, more than a humor, and it's described as a comedy and drama, and I don't think it's a comedy,
no.
But it had some funny moments in it. This is, I agree with everything that Joe said. It didn't keep my interest, actually. I found it difficult to watch, and I don't know if it was just I was super tired, but I actually fell asleep during the movie, which I feel awful about. But the bits I did watch, it's very well acted. And I have to say, I'm really pleased that A24 is seeking out these small African, interesting foreign language movies and bringing them to an American audience. I think that's absolutely applaud A24 on doing that. I think the thing I did like was I felt transported to Zambia. We were immersed in this family, kind of like the I'm Still Here, kind of like that. We were immersed in this family and this culture, and Joe, it's kind of like being in Ghana. It was very similar to being in Ghana, that kind of large extended family with lots of relatives, and so I enjoyed that part of it. But again, I found it, I think I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did benefit from having African heritage here, because one of the big themes in the movie is, the funerals are these big, huge things in Africa, like,
parties.
Unlike a lot of cultures, a lot of Africa will when there's a funeral in a family, it brings people from far and wide. These are huge affairs with, it can literally bring a city of people together, to honor that person, and it's huge. And so there's this theme that runs through this about, again, this person has died, and we should be celebrating them, but the women in the society have all got kind of their own stories, and yet they still find themselves having to celebrate this individual. It's the sense of place is tangible. I mean, it really is immersive in that regard. I think you possibly made one of the biggest understatements I can remember, which is, the acting was good here. The acting was impeccable here. The lead, Susan Chardy,
she's fantastic.
Is unbelievable in this movie, and despite the whole kind of strangeness of the tone, you never think that she's anyone other than who that character is. So it's complete integrity. It's quite a remarkable performance. And again, I think it's early in the year, but later in the year, this would be one that would definitely be, it's on par with anything. It's at least as good as anything that we talked about in the Oscars. So very, very amazing performance.
It seems to be reminiscent of Monsoon Wedding.
Kind of, yes. It is like that. Absolutely. Okay. That's a really good call out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very good call out. I'm trying to see what else she's done, Joe. I think this is her first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt very much like a little bit of guerrilla filmmaking here too. I mean, this was not expensive production values at work here, although there are some really clever shots. Good camera work in the dreamy like sequences. So,
is it hard to understand?
No, not at all. Okay. It's got subtitles.
No. I meant like if it's too surreal, or if it's too like what's real versus what's imagined.
I'll admit to being frustrated, and I think the metaphor that on becoming a guinea fowl is explained in a very odd way through flashbacks to childhood TV programs, and it's I saw the TV Glow kind of weirdness.
Yes,
it's got that there's
Okay.
this filmmaker, I think, maybe took inspiration from something like that, but it was as difficult as that movie, to kind of unpack in the moment. But it has stayed with me. I can't say that I don't admire what was done here.
Score.
Oh boy, I mean, yeah, I feel rotten giving it a 6, but I did find it that difficult. It has a very important subject matter. I just don't know that it worked that effectively as a film. I feel like, I ought to, if I was rating the movie for its topic and its material and its overall impact, it would be higher than a 6. But as a movie, I really struggled to kind of to get through it.
I would give it the same score. I think it deserves a 7, but I really feel like it's a 6.
Yeah, it's a difficult movie.
It's
for
a
me.
difficult movie, I just fell asleep. It did not keep my interest.
Because we don't know what's going on for a lot of the time.
It's very difficult to play. Yeah,
it doesn't thread itself together until Act 3, and at that point you kind of think, okay, so that's what all of this has been about,
right?
Okay, well, yeah. But again, I think
you should watch it though, Yazdi.
It's remarkably original.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen anything like this. It makes it, just challenging. And critics, are up in, like I say, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That doesn't happen easily.
Yeah. All right.
We will wrap up this podcast right now. We will have a podcast coming to you very soon with reviews of Novocaine and Black Bag. I'm looking forward to that discussion. Thank you once again for listening and watching. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube. I would love for our numbers to go up. So please check us out there. And Yazdi made a wonderful mochi cake, which we didn't talk about. We'll talk about that next episode.
Okay.
All right. Thank you again for listening. Until the next episode, it's Too Many Movies, Too Little Time. Hey, goodbye from me.
And me.
And me as well.